GI Blues and King Creole had just about enough songs to fill out an album, but on Blue Hawaii, fans were treated to 14 songs. RCA would never be that generous again with studio albums. And it could have been an even longer album had they included the song Stepping Out of Line, which was actually a Blue Hawaii reject. It's easy enough to see where the song was supposed to go in the movie.
Hollywood France, Stepping out of line. Yeah, let's dance, come on. Come on, Frenchie, let's dance, huh?
No!
Yeah, let's dance. Hey, wait a minute.
Let me go!
Yeah, Frenchie, let's dance now.
I don't want to dance!
Oh, come on, you want to dance, don't you?
No!
You're going to dance, Frenchie, come on. You know you're stepping out of line.
And it could, of course, have gone here.
You know what you need? A good old-fashioned spanking.
Maybe I do. Nobody ever cared enough about me. Even for that.
All right, Eleanor. If that'll prove that somebody does care.
You wouldn't dare!
Wouldn't I dare, wouldn't I? I got a feeling this is going to make both of us feel an awful lot better.
I'm going to have to do a video called You Can't Do That on Screen Anymore. Anyway, so Stepping Out of Line, it would have rocked the album up a little bit, although it seems hard to imagine it on there. But if you look on the session data, there it is right in the middle of the Blue Hawaii sessions between Almost Always True and Island of Love. Almost Always True, of course, these days would be considered problematic. The lyrics would be considered problematic. In the movie, Elvis, or Chad Gates, comes home and he tells his girlfriend, Miley, that when he was away, he didn't have that many affairs. The songs on Blue Hawaii, just like the songs on For an Acapulco, are very much influenced by the locale of the movie itself. So in Blue Hawaii, we get a lot of ukuleles and steel guitar. These are instruments that, if I'm honest, I'm not that keen on, but the songs as a whole are very well sung and played. So for example, Island of Love. Elvis's vocal slides up and down the scale just as smoothly as the steel guitar that accompanies it. Looking at the album as a whole, there were signs of things to come, with the music being a mixture of really good stuff and embarrassing fluff. But I don't want to be too hard on songs like Ito Eats, for example. It's clear that Elvis would never have recorded a song like that had he not made this movie. And in the film, it's just a bunch of young people having a bit of fun on the beach.
Everybody eat, night and the day.
The LP does have a couple of my childhood favourites.
And when she starts to sway, I've got to say, she really moves the grass around. Hula baby, rock.
Let's go on a moonlight swim, far away from the crowd, all alone upon the beach. Our lips and arms close within each other's reach will be.
It also has one of my all-time favourites, Can't Help Falling in Love. I'm not going to risk putting a clip from that song in the video because it'll probably get blocked. I will, however, read a couple of interesting quotes from the Writing for the King book. And the first one comes from one of the writers, which is George David Weiss. And he says that the song did not really attract any interest from the movie producers at first. But it was actually Elvis who rescued the song, if you like. And I'll just quote from the book. It said, Elvis happened to be walking down the corridor and the door was open to the playing room. He stopped at the door and listened. When it was over, he said, what was that? One of his friends said, oh, that's some dumb ballad, forget it. He said, no, I want to hear that again. So they played it again for him, and when it was all over, he said, I want to do that one in my movie. They thought he was nuts. And then it goes on to say, I always say God bless Elvis, because he was the only one who believed in that song. If not for him, that song today would be lying in my drawer. There's also another quote from another one of the writers, Luigi Creatore, I guess that's how you say his name. It says, there are better interpretations technically than Elvis's version. Perry Como's interpretation is a better technical interpretation, but Presley's version is so sincere. It's so real, and that's what made it great. It just has no guile. His emotion was pure, and that struck a chord. Another one of my big favourites on the album is No More, another song that Don Robertson wrote. And like a lot of his songs, it has a large vocal range. and a melody that just won't sit still. It sounds like it would be really difficult to sing, but our guy does a great job and he sings it with panache. Other standouts on the album are the first and last songs, Blue Hawaii and Hawaiian Wedding Song. And just a bit of trivia to finish, did you know that the song I'm Yours was submitted for the movie to be included in the wedding scene, but of course it was rejected. Whereas Blue Hawaii is quite a mellow album, Fun in Acapulco is much more uplifting. And I think that's down to the high energy Latin music arrangements. Who doesn't love a Spanish guitar, trumpets and a güiro, or a güiro, depending on how you want to say it. And Fun in Acapulco itself is one of the best movie theme tunes, I think. It gets off to a great start with that little rhythm, and then the joyful Jordanaires backing vocals come in. And then there's Elvis inviting us to a place that we've never been to and probably never will go to.
Acapulco, sleeping in the bay.
This is a UK copy that I have here, and you may have noticed that almost all the records that I've been showing in these videos, double features videos, have been UK pressings. And when I finish the series, I'm going to be doing a video showing my UK albums, because I've got some pretty nice ones in there. Anyway, back to the album. There are just a couple of songs that let the side down a little bit. Although when I was a kid, I used to really like There's No Room to Rumba in a Sports Car. And I actually heard it on the radio once. It must have been the early 1980s. And it was on Radio 1, which at the time was the most popular radio show in the UK. And I thought, oh, crikey, have they released this as a single? But when the record finished, the DJ explained that it was a request. Somebody had requested it. Thinking about it now, it strikes me that somebody had probably been having their own little rumba in a sports car not too long before they requested it. The other weak song on the album is The Bullfighter Was a Lady, although it does have some pretty clever lyrics at the end.
His fate was a bad one, his tale is a sad one, it's hanging right over her door.
There are some songs that you hear and they just affect you straight away, and you always remember when and where you first heard them. And for me, Bossa Nova Baby is one of those songs. I heard it when I was a young kid and loved it, and still love it to this day. It was released as a single in the UK near the end of 1963, by which point Beatlemania was well and truly underway. So it didn't do very well on the charts. It only got to number 13. But I reckon if Elvis had recorded that song a year or two earlier with a straight rock arrangement, I think it could have gone to number 1. El Toro is a song that's grown on me over the years. It has a very dramatic arrangement, and it's actually quite chilling at one point.
When they found the matador, they saw him dying. He'd never see tomorrow. Now they say that on the spot where he was lying, still walks the proud El Toro.
Another song I love is Vino, Dinero y Amor, and in that song Elvis shows great voice control near the end.
Sing one more time, money and wine. Let's sing to the girls we adore.
We also got the first 2 bonus songs on Fun in Acapulco. The extra songs on Loving You weren't actually called bonus songs, of course. One of the songs here is Slowly But Surely, which has distorted guitar, aka fuzz guitar, and that's quite an unusual sound to hear on an Elvis record. It seems to have been a sound that he wasn't particularly keen on, because even after the heavy rock bands of the late 60s and early 70s, it never became a sound that we heard very much in Elvis's music. The other bonus song was Love Me Tonight, and it was never one of my favorite Don Robertson songs. I found it a bit boring, to be honest, and I do find Don Robertson's lyrics can be a little bit melodramatic at times. But my opinion changed when I read a cartoon, and I believe it was a Doonesbury cartoon that must have been published just after Elvis died. And in the cartoon there are a couple of people sitting around looking glum, and they're listening to the radio, and they're commenting on Elvis's voice and how good it was. And you can see the lyrics to a song that's playing on the radio on the cartoon, and it reads, "May this tenderness cling when the fire of spring is a memory." And that cartoon really affected me, and just from seeing that cartoon it made me think about how good the song was. So it's been a bit of a favorite of mine ever since that day. And it's funny how things like that can change your opinion of a song. Even just thinking about a song can make you think differently about it. For instance, I was walking home recently and thinking about the song Kentucky Rain, which had always been a song that had never particularly moved me. But I was just thinking about the arrangement and the playing and the singing and the lyrics, and I just thought, that's a really good song. So that's another one that's become a bit of a favourite just through thinking about it. So in ranking these albums, if I can compare them to invitations, Blue Hawaii is, for me, a little bit like being invited to a party, or a luau even. So Dave, do you want to go to the luau? Nah, I don't think so. Come on, Ito's going to be there. We can take the piss out of him. Nah, I'm kind of tired of taking the piss out of Ito. We're going to be slicing some sand. Slicing sand. Okay. And then you go, and it's pretty good. Whereas Fun in Acapulco is a bit like, I don't know, being invited to go shopping for records. I've got to think of a better example than that. Okay, it's a bit like being invited to go for pizza. Everybody loves going for pizza, right?
Pizza, we're gonna have pizza.
So if I can put these albums in my list that I've done so far, Blue Hawaii is going just behind Clambake, which is still punching above its weight so high in the list. And Funny in Acapulco is going to go in at number 3, just behind It Happened at the World's Fair. So I've only got one more video to go in this series, so I hope you'll join me to take a look at Jive Blues, King Creole, and Spin Out. Hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Take care.